Okay, we're live on Facebook, and live on YouTube, so everything's a go. We got a great show to end our day with. Sherwin's on with Hung Nguyen. Should be some talk about dragons. I'm going to bring Hung and Sherwin up right after the intro. I'm going to allow people time to come in and let us share through the network a little bit. How's it going, everybody? We got Sherwin's in the house with Hung Nguyen. Hello, Sherwin. How you doing? Let me just unmute you. Let me get her
Hello.
going. How you doing, sir? Thank you
Great.
for sharing space with the Sology community tonight and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. All right, there's Hung. Unmute.
Ah.
We're going to unmute her, and that might be kind of dangerous, but go ahead and let it go. You guys have a great show. Take as long as you want. And thank you for coming, both of you, for showing up. See you later.
Perfect.
Let me just get out of here.
Now my laptop died half an hour before we're supposed to start. So I am doing this off my phone.
Okay.
So a little bit of a rough start, which means for the viewers that are tuning in, my apologies. I won't be able to see your comments on the thread. So I'm hoping maybe Todd will moderate the comments that's going through on all the different platforms. So I want to start off with hello and welcome to Soul Speaks 5D. My name is Hung Nguyen. I will be your host today. And so excited. My guest today is Sherwin Ng, and Sherwin is based out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So hello, my Asian brother from another mother.
Hello.
So I know, wow, where to start? We will start with, usually we don't post a lot of bios on when it comes to our guests, but you have quite I would say packed bio. So and Todd shared it already on the post yesterday, but I'm just going to verbally go through for anyone that is new to you to introduce you, because it's better for me to gush over you than you to brag about yourself, because there's, you know, that's just not cool.
So Sherwin, you don't have to go through everything. just
so
parts
Sherwin,
that you like.
Okay, so Sherwin, you are an author, speaker, teacher, alchemist, and researcher. And you actually, your book, the book that you wrote, Life on Earth Mastery, Protocols to Transcend Fate and Manifest Your Purpose. When was that published again?
4 years ago, around this time. Yeah.
4 years ago. Okay, so the cover work for it is actually right behind Sherwin. So you'll see that beautiful photo of behind him to the left. Oh, and right there. Very good. So this book is amazing. We'll talk a little bit about that book in a second. The other thing that I find amazing and unique about you is you are so your ethnic or nationality is actually Malaysian. Is that right? Singaporean,
yeah.
Malaysian?
Malaysian, yeah.
So what I find really unique about you is that your experience experiences are actually based more on Western culture versus maybe perhaps the Asian culture. So it's kind of like you're Asian based in Asia, but studying Western, what you would call metaphysics. But you do also have a background in feng shui as well. And so there is still that as well. So you have a lot of knowledge of the esoteric world, I would say. And you seem to like every version of it. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I guess they're all the same. It just comes out with as a different language or different cultures in different parts of the world, but eventually they lead to the same.
They lead to the same. Yes, I would agree. I mean, at the point, it is all the same. So recently you have gone into, so part of your background is you started off dabbling in, well, why don't you tell us what started you on this journey? Let's let you talk for a little bit.
Well, then we have to go back very, very far. Since I was very, very little, I realized that it's a weird feeling between like I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm supposed to do something totally different. And the first half of my years, I couldn't find out what that thing was at that time. So I became like quite depressed, and it first started out with, I guess, astrology. I started like reading on astrology when I was like 7 or 8. And only much later when in college, I started studying psychology. So that slowly started to like open my eyes and made me realize that what I'm searching for is not religion, and also it's more along the lines of spirituality. But at that time, there was no like nobody could tell what spirituality meant. And I felt that it was not confined to any religion. So that's why my search took me through all the different cultures, including the Chinese and Asian and metaphysics, and as well as Egyptian, the Celtic, and all around the world. And finally realizing that spirituality is the journey within. Yeah, it's not searching out there. So that was when I understood that idea. I think I sort of like settled down and calmed down a little bit. Like there was no more that desire to find that thing, because I realized it was within me and within all of us. So yeah.
So you started off in college. So you're around what, 17, 18, right out of high school, you went to college?
Yeah.
Okay. And then around 18, so when you started college, you were exploring psychology and then realized that there was something more. And what was the part that depressed you? Was it because you couldn't find the answers that were fulfilling you in college? Or what happened that caused you to shift your focus?
I was depressed in high school, so about 13, 14. I think those were the worst times. Just feeling that something was wrong with life on Earth, and it's not. There is something more that I'm supposed to see, but I'm not seeing it. So that was that inner struggle, and I felt that I was wasting my time in what people would consider as normal, wasting my time being normal or living the normal life, and just doing like following the script, the social script, and that felt very like something was really wrong with that in how I felt at that time. So psychology really was my first big breath of fresh air. It showed me that what I was looking for is within the human. So that was like the start of my journey.
So then did you graduate from college, or did you drop out and then just jump straight into all things weird?
Okay, so I finished my diploma, and then I was supposed to complete my master's in psychology in Australia. So I had a 6-month break as I was waiting for like the what we call it, like student loans and all that to come through. And so during that time, I attended a feng shui class with Joey Yap as a hobby. I thought just to learn something new, and that was another I would say life-changing, but much more severe than that. Again, that opened up my eyes to other dimensions of like energy and existence. And so I did not go to Australia to finish my master's. I dropped all of that and decided that I will pursue Chinese metaphysics. So this was, I think, the year 2004. Yeah, August 2004. And so that started a whole new chapter of Chinese metaphysics and all aspects of Chinese metaphysics. And so I even started to work professionally as a feng shui consultant and all that and that lasted 9 years.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so 9 years has passed, and I learned so much, and I was really happy and enjoying the work that I was doing, and also all that self study and understanding. But there came a point where I realized that in order to understand further, to go deeper, so I even had to put aside all that I've learned and like start again from something totally different. So that was where I actually quit that job and started my own journey on energy healing, mostly energy healing at the time, because that was something I also like trained in. I attended many other workshops all around the world. I started practicing energy healing, and that opened up another Pandora's box. Yeah, and yeah, up until now. So it's always been for me, I think, a very organic journey. It's not like I never had like a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan, and every
Right.
year plans keep changing anyway. So
Yeah.
so for me, it's just quite an adventure. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people that are walking similar paths don't have a career plan anyways. Even if you ask someone to forecast it out like a traditional career, I think anyone that is saying that they can plan it out is totally lying.
Yeah.
So when you decided to unlearn the metaphysics of feng shui and start on your own path, what year was that? Was that 2013 then?
2010.
2010.
Second half of 2010. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you started doing your healing practices, did you start off with Reiki, or what kind of healing modality did you start off with?
Oh, it was the ISIS Egyptian healing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So not even your traditional Reiki. You just went straight to ISIS.
So because one of my friends at that time was practicing this modality, and I asked for like a few signs from the universe, and I got it. So so I went to Singapore to study with this friend, and then I came back and I thought, okay, let's just try practicing this as for me it always began with like a hobby. So I started practicing energy healing for a few friends, and then they told their friends and all that, and really it just grew from there. So it's all like just word of mouth.
And then I always find that when the student is ready, the teacher always shows up. Isn't that kind of what happens organically with this path?
Yeah, that for sure. So we can't like force it. We just have to constantly prepare ourselves, and just keep preparing for the next thing, and then it will just appear. I know it sounds very cliche, but energy is really like that.
Yeah, it's just the frequency that you're at. It kind of attracts it. So funny personal story. So how I found you, I find
Yeah.
in my own life, I don't go looking for information per se, and I don't go looking for mentors, but I do have a lot of strong mentors in my life. So for you, it was a total fluke. 2 years ago, I decided to add feng shui services to my interior design business. So I hired a feng shui person, and he studied under you and Joey Yap. So then he mentioned, and I've been following Joey Yap for a little bit. So any viewers that are watching us, you don't know who Joey Yap is. I don't know what rock you've been living under, but he's like the feng shui master.
Yeah, the biggest.
Yes, he's kind of a big deal. So anyways, the student that was working with me for our interior design services was saying that my energy form, although I can line up with feng shui, honestly, half of the stuff that was coming through the pipeline, it didn't resonate with me. Like, it was too exacting, I felt, and too formulaic, and there was no room for mistakes, it seemed like. So for me, it was too restrictive. And anytime I get too restrictive, the creation energy for me feels like stifling. It doesn't really allow for something that you can't plan for, which I love about our world, right?
Yeah.
Then he mentioned, hey, you should check out this guy. He was started off as a student of Joey Yap, but he kind of blossomed into a different arc, same different path, but and he's like, you should totally check him out. So he sent me your Facebook link, and I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, I know this guy. This guy is amazing. So I've been fangirling over you for probably for 2 years now because this guy is so cool. I felt like what I really love about your work is you tried to do the good Asian thing and go through the steps of proper indoctrination. Accumulate as much knowledge as you can, and then you unlearned it all. Like, you take in as much as you can, unlearned it, and then put it back together in a way that resonated even with me. Not that I'm the caliber to exceed or anything, but put it back in a way that it was relatable. And what I really liked about it was practical, because a lot of the information out there, I find it's always like, well, that's great. Now what? You know, like, what do I do with that? I'm not really sure. So it's like great information that sits on a shelf and never gets used, which is for me kind of not that great for myself. So for you, you offer a lot of courses, and I had the honor of taking 2 of it recently. I have to tell you, so while everybody was meditating, I was drinking wine. So
that's fine.
That's why you didn't see on the Zooms, you can do the live, right? You can just use your avatar. I just changed the avatar. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's grounding in. But my time, I spent a full day working already. I'm like, I need some wine. But your courses are structured in such a way that I found was, if you didn't matter what grade you were in your path, if you started off kindergarten, if you were in elementary, high school, or advanced, there was information usable from all the way through the spectrum, which I really appreciated. And what I loved is you worked with so many different types of energies, but the ones I really want to talk about today, because we could talk forever, but the ones I really want to talk today is Atlantis and dragons. Okay. So the course we just finished was based on Atlantis. So would you like to share a little bit about your coursework in terms of Atlantis and the energies that are coming up? Because it's resonating for a lot of people lately, I find.
So again, my journey as a skeptic. So, like, for example, like let's say I would not have understood the dragons, or I was even like skeptical about Atlantis and all that. So what happened was my work with Egyptian alchemy and healing and all that. So gradually it kind of like brought me back. So what was before the golden age of Egypt, if you go back even further, it was Atlantis. So it sort of got me like, it warmed up to the idea. and gradually I saw and I understood a bit more and a bit more. Whereas the dragons as well, I was like, I don't know what are dragons and all that. And again, also like through Egypt and also through Glastonbury. When I went to Glastonbury, immediately I felt like I understood what is a dragon, and that it is alive. Maybe we don't see it physically, so that kind of opened up the gateway for me to understand dragons. And as I went around the world, I realized, oh, there are like different types of dragons, different types of energy, and so forth. So Atlantis. So where do we begin?
I know there's so much. Let's start with, why is it so strong lately? Like, I feel that energy, it's always been a huge concept in terms of throughout the timelines. But I feel like right now it's so strong. So why are the energies coming in so strong?
Okay, so I think mainly it's due to what we are moving from, as humanity and as the whole Earth, we are moving out of the age of Pisces, entering the age of Aquarius. Of course, many different authors have a slightly different view on when exactly the age of Aquarius begins. But personally, I feel that it is now. We're entering it now with what's happening with the world today. You know, all the virus and all the purification. So it's preparing us for like the huge transmutation as we move into the next vibration gradually. So that's one. So the age of Aquarius is almost synonymous with Atlantis. If you know, Aquarius is symbolically is the man with the holding that water pitcher, and all the water element, air and water, you know, intellect and emotion. It's a mirror of Atlantis. So I think because of that, so a lot of us, a lot of people around the world, they're just awakening up to that the idea or the understanding or remembering parts of Atlantis. Yeah. So I think mainly it's because of the age of Aquarius.
So we left. So you're just saying, to paraphrase, the next period that we're entering has very strong frequencies to Atlantis, and is that activating everyone's DNA encoding for it, or
Yes.
what's happening there? Okay, so
Yes.
interesting concept. In your coursework, you kind of presented something that I don't think a lot of other teachers would be bold enough to do, and you presented that the human hybrid that is in this timeline is actually both Lemurian and Atlantean blueprint.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I have to say I had to sit on that for a while, because up until that course, I was totally unaware of Lemuria. Like, I had very strong Atlantis memories and lots of downloads of Atlantis. No clue who Lemuria was. So obviously, you know what team I'm on. But it was a very balanced approach in the course. So why did you propose that the human hybrid of today is of both blueprint?
When I chanced upon that discovery or the possibility, I myself was a bit taken aback, because it was not something I expected, because prior to that, I've always been just working with Atlantis and then Lemuria separately. So it only recently occurred to me that they both happen like simultaneously, but at different vibrations or different frequency. And there were an extended period of time where the Atlanteans and the Lemurians, they actually mingled, and they communicated, and a lot of them, they even merged. And then later on, the decline and the destruction happened of both Atlantis and then subsequently Lemuria. But the energies that they left behind are a combination of both. And so, like hundreds of generations later, I believe that all humans today contain both shall I say, genetics or both frequencies of Atlantis and Lemuria. And so as a species today, and we're expected to evolve past whatever they couldn't back then, I feel it is our job to become aware of this and then gradually merge the differences of both civilizations within us. The Atlanteans are mostly, I would say, more developed in the upper chakras, let's say, whereas the Lemurians are more connected to the earth, so their lower chakras are stronger. So today's human is, I believe, is supposed to merge all the chakras and yeah, bring the best of both worlds and not repeat the history or the mistakes of either one, which eventually led to collapse.
Yeah, and you know what? That was, although it resonated with me. I really loved that theory, because the other thing in the course that you did, which I thought was very balanced in terms of understanding working of both DNA codes, is, so just to recap. So if we were going to quickly summarize the complexities of Atlantis and Lemuria, just for the sake of this interview, what would you say Atlantis is versus Lemuria for anyone that's new to this? We won't go into the complexity. If you want to go into that, buy his book or take his course. But for today, just summarize the two so that people can understand why it's important to actually intertwine. It almost feels like a twining of the polarities of basically what you would call a new hybrid of frequency that goes beyond that collapse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a lovely summary. So the Atlantean energies are more connected to the stars and the cosmos. So I almost feel as if they were like they had came in from the different star galaxies and constellations into the Earth, and eventually they started to become more solid. So they began as light beings or energy beings, and then they became more solid, and then they became the Atlanteans later on. Whereas the Lemurians is kind of like the opposite of that. I felt like Lemurians are more from this Earth, when the Earth was still like very raw. Like the continents were not fully separated yet, so there was this huge continent of Lemuria, and the people were very much connected to nature. You know, the tree of life, and all manner of creatures. Almost reminiscent of the movie Avatar, the blue people. Yeah, so it's very that really resonated with Lemuria. So whereas the Atlanteans had to learn to be a part of this world, the Lemurians were already a part of this world, manifestations of the Earth consciousness and nature itself. So I feel that was like a huge marriage of the two energies in the making for hundreds of thousands of years, and finally now, us human today, we have the opportunity to make that inner marriage happen. Whereas in their time, because the energies were still, I guess, so raw, it was like the first time or the second time they didn't get it. So what happened was Atlantis collapsed because for many reasons, but I feel they collapsed because they tried to oppress or take control of whatever the Lemurians had. Whereas and the Lemurians, they didn't fight back so much. So eventually it led to the destruction of both great civilizations and continents. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't, like I said, I was very strongly aware of Atlantis, was totally ignorant towards Lemuria. So one of the things I learned first, so I just wrote down quick notes of comparisons. for anyone that's kind of following along. So like, for example, Atlantis, you had mentioned it was star-seeded, and these energy beings came to Earth and created form. They played in the physical, where Lemuria, they were already physical. So they were more playing with light. So it was almost like a reverse, where one was energy playing with form and the other one was already form playing with energy. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Atlantis, because it's pure energy, Atlantis, when it comes to the human, they're mostly all head. So a lot of the intellect, a lot of the technology, a lot of the head energy of advancements and and you said telekinesis and telepathy were very strong.
It was easy for them.
Yeah, where they can manifest pretty much any kind of form when they were of pure energy, versus Lemuria was of heart energy. A lot, they weren't able to manifest per se form, but they were able to connect and move with Gaia as one. So so when Atlanteans came into manifestation, I guess that's when duality happened between form and energy, would you say?
Yes. And
Because
they kind of got like tangled.
Yes.
Oh, now what? We're stuck.
So for part of that entanglement is creating duality of good and evil, light and dark, because before all of that, it was just energy. There was no definition to the different expressions of energy. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the collapse happened when it became so polarized, when the Atlanteans couldn't manifest anymore because they were more of form than they were of energy. And then they did awful things to Lemurians, which I'm so sorry, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. So I was shocked to learn that you were saying that the Atlantis started harvesting some of the Lemurian energy forms because their crystalline core was unstable and was losing its power. And part of that was when the big fall happened, I guess, is when there was no energy that could sustain both civilizations in a healthy manner, right?
Yeah.
So then where did it go? Where is Atlantis now?
A lot of it, what I call phased out. So it either evaporated into a higher frequency, like just beyond our 3D realm, or a lot of the crystals like just collapse under the ocean. I feel it's mainly lots of the stuff are still under the Atlantic Ocean, and so it's either destroyed, phased out, or sunken under the sea. Whereas for Lemuria, same thing. So they just raised their vibration a little bit, and then they phased out from the 3D world and went into, for them, it's more like they went into hiding, especially with the unicorns and the dragons, which were in the later days of Atlantis, they were hunted down for their life force. So that part was a bit gruesome. So that was one of the I guess one of the main triggers why these fantastic creatures like the dragons and the unicorns, they don't really stay in the physical realm anymore because it's just unstable to them. But so for those individuals who have found a way to raise their vibration from 3D up to 5D, then it's very easy to encounter all these beings.
So for you, what energy form came to you first? Was it the Atlantean energy form, Lemurian, dragons, unicorns, or all of it?
Like what Atlantis was?
Yeah.
And almost like you, I knew about Atlantis for a long time, but I've also not heard about Lemuria for a while, and then so it was kind of new to me up until recent years, and so Atlantis, and then I discovered the dragons, and the dragons brought me back to Lemuria.
So the dragons connected you to Lemuria.
Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of dragon experiences have you had personally?
The strongest one for me, the most tangible experience would be, I think Glastonbury. What they call as the earth dragons. So like they're underground or they're in caves, and you always feel their heartbeat, and they feel like a huge storage of information and knowledge and teachings and also initiation. And then there's also the water dragons, which I kind of encountered I think my first one was in Bali, when I went to Bali. So I had this strange, almost visual experience where they were like swimming in the water through the caves. And when I asked the local people, and then they said, "Oh yes, we have this story about the huge nagas and all that." So okay, so it kind of like help like verify what I picked up psychically in those different places. And so from there it started opening that awareness of the water dragons. So to me they all are they're all very distinct. Like we have the fire dragons, the water dragons, and the earth dragons, and also the air dragons, which normally you find them in the high mountains and the Himalayas in Tibet and all those places. Yeah, so they're all very distinct type of energy, and it's the feeling is like they're huge energy, huge beings. If they were to manifest in our world, it can be quite scary for a lot of people. They're huge.
Yes. So were you scared when you first encountered yours psychically?
Yes, because, mainly because of the sheer size. And I remember I had this in one of my meditations. It was a very deep meditation, so it was like almost like in a trance, or almost in a I was not asleep. It the body of the dragon, like it covered the sky, so it was like, oh my god, it's huge. It almost felt apocalyptic, but yeah, but just so from there, I just learned to respect the sheer power that they have, and also understanding why they often don't reveal themselves to people,
That's right.
because of the if the person's intention is not right, or if they want it for some form of like power or for personal gain, then I think no way the dragons would reveal themselves.
Yes. And why?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, that's the other energy that is quite prevalent right now as well, is the dragons. They see, again, like Atlantis, they have been through all the timelines. There's stories and narratives throughout every culture. So their existence is documented. But I just feel lately a lot of people are waking up and asking a lot about dragons and how to connect with the energy and what it means in terms of why did the dragon reveal itself to you, do you feel?
For me, it's they, they teach me stuff. so yeah, like if I have like loopholes in my understanding in anything, like even the Egyptian alchemy and all that, so I can kind of like tune in and like check with some of the dragons, and they say, okay, this is not right. You got it wrong, or this part is missing. So they help me piece together information to make it more complete, before I can use it for myself, and then also like share it with my students. So that's one. So mainly they help me with a lot of information. Secondly, I feel that now more people are becoming connected to their heart, the heart energy. So for the dragons, it's like, okay, so people will now have the wisdom to understand more about this world and this universe. And really, like what you said, dragons are timeless. I feel they were there even during the formation of the earth itself. So they are like utterly ancient beings, and so it's also very awe-inspiring. So yeah, more people are just ready. More people have been has become aware of themselves, they've done like sufficient inner work, and then so more guidance and more teachings are coming through the dragon realm. It reminded me of when I wrote a Facebook article on it, and I think you shared it. I think this was about 2 years ago, and
Mhm.
it just exploded, and I was very surprised to discover that there's so many people already like working with or tuning into the dragon energies. Because why I was surprised and why I was also happy, because I thought I was losing my mind.
Well,
Yeah,
welcome
so
to the club. This is the official club of losing your
yeah,
mind. Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, so many people like they get it, or they've already like understood so much more with the dragons already. So I felt like in a way relief, but also like renewed inspiration to like
Mhm.
continue working with tuning in, staying tuned with the dragon realm. Yeah.
So, because recently you had a dragon experience that kind of cemented your second location of House of Kite. Could you share that, or are you ready? Not ready to share that?
Which one was it? I can't remember.
Well, you kind of teased us with the post saying that where if the sequencing of events unfolded, then you would be signified with the presence of a dragon, which meant that you were gifted with something, but you never said what it was.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah,
just wondering if you were ready to share that yet.
that so I did see a dragon, but not a real dragon, but it was a huge iguana, which is not so common in the city. So yeah, so that for me was like a messenger of the dragon energies, because they don't manifest in physical form, the actual dragons. Um, so it was one of those lifetimes where I worked a lot with the serpent energies, and also the dragons. So like serpents and snakes are very much misunderstood,
Yes.
and also like they're vilified, and people have projected so much fear onto snakes and all that, but they're all like cousins connected to the dragons, or descendants from the dragons as well. So they do carry a lot of that dragon energy, which guess what, provokes fear in people. It stirs up the fear in order to be purified and understood. So in the past, people have started to like mistakenly associate the fear that was arising as caused by the snakes itself. But snakes itself don't they're not evil, but they do stir up all these hidden unconscious emotions in people. So that's why they got vilified. Yeah, so there's a strong connection between like serpents, reptiles, and dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
So
also
why is it that why do they choose to trigger the unconscious emotions of people? Because I mean, in a higher vibration, there is no evil, there is no good. It's just energy. But on our plane, it translates to fear and evil. So they obviously, when they present themselves, there is it's almost like a kick in the ass, right? Where you just you think you're so enlightened until you see a snake, and then I start screaming like a little girl because I hate snakes. So it's one of those things where but why is that? You know what I mean? Like, why do they carry that energetic feedback for you?
Snakes are I would say they are the guardians of the in-between states, so between duality, between light and dark, and later on, so between good and evil. So snakes, before we can fully understand the light, we have to also fully understand the dark, the shadow aspects within us. So that is the energy of the serpent itself, helps us to see not just our own light, but also our own dark. And we have to be okay, learn to be okay with both, because in this world, light and dark exists, and not just in our world, in the whole creation of duality. So there's always light and dark. And in order to go further into the light, we have to first go further into the dark. So that is where the snake energy comes in. So like the sign of the caduceus, the two snakes, the DNA. So it represents mastery over our light and dark. So that is the purpose. And also I feel like this raw energy, or just life force itself in its purest form, will trigger all this. It brings everything to the surface. Nothing is left hidden, because life is about expression.
Yes.
Okay, whereas human ego is about repression and control. Yeah. So when we are faced with just pure life force or pure energy, everything is expressed. Nothing can be left hidden. Nothing can be left in denial, and nothing can be left in the dark. So the snake reveals everything. Yeah.
So what happens? What happens? Okay, so the snake reveals everything, and then you're just left with like energetic vomit. Like you don't know what do you do with all of that? You know what I mean? How do you process that? How do you get through that?
So we have to learn from it and own it. So one of the biggest lessons for humanity, for every individual in this world, is to learn accountability, like owning our fears. So I think that is one of the major initiations. Learning to own our fears. So often in the new age movements, we only talk about the light, everything is love and light, but it's not that. Love and light is only the surface. So when we really want to take account of our entire existence, we have to go into our shadow aspects, the things in us that we have not yet seen, and also not yet healed, and not yet acknowledged. So this is where these are the domain of the serpent. All the things that were misunderstood or misconstrued due to our, let's say, sense of shame, unworthiness, and all those heavier emotions. So they're all hidden in our unconscious psyche. So the snake energy helps us to become aware of all these things that are hidden. So until we purify all that is hidden within us, there is no way we are going to evolve, or there's no way we're going to ascend. There's a lot of talk about ascension as well, but without freeing all those hidden baggages and all those judgments within us, which is all that we call it part of the shadow self. So without all that shadow work, there's no way we can ascend. We're still tied down into this lifetime, into this mortal realm. Yeah.
So what I laughed really hard is in our spiritual world community, there's a lot of the fluffy love and light, which drive me nuts, right? Because I'm like, oh God, if I hear that one more time, or if I see tie-dye, or the cliches where I feel like it's more spiritual bypassing, where people try to positive think their way through their shadow work, which drives me nuts. And it's always like this, and the symbology of the snake, I just recently learned, like I wasn't always scared of snakes. That just happened when I was probably around 13 years old, had a traumatic event, and then I was traumatized. But now I'm starting to be okay with it. And it's really strange, where it was just, I had to remember that I was actually of dragon, of which you were saying they're all related, of that form. I carry that huge form all the way back to what you would call snake, what people would call reptilians, because if you use that word reptilian in our community, people start automatically pigeonholing and labeling you as evil, which is not the case. It's just an expression of humanity that we need to be at peace with as well, right? They're just all teachers. So one of the interesting things about the snake form is the water snake has been coming up also very dominantly lately for me. Like I would say within the last 2 months, just water dragon, serpent energy, and I'm wondering what has that got, like, why not earth dragon? Why not a big dinosaur coming out of the cave? Why is it a water dragon or a water snake?
Okay, so I call them the nagas, the water dragons. So they do a lot of emotional transmutation. So literally, like what I was saying before, like working through our emotions, sorting out our emotions and transmuting all the heavy emotions. It is the water dragon. So water is emotions, or water is the unconscious.
Oh, I think you froze. Sorry, you just cut out there for a second.
Yeah. Okay.
So can you just repeat that? Maybe everyone else heard, but I didn't.
It's okay. So water dragons, the Nagas, they mainly help with transmutation of our emotions, and also helping us become aware of the unconscious, because that's literally what water represents, our emotions, and also what the ocean represents, our unconscious, and that's why there's still a large portion of the ocean that we have not discovered, or we don't know what's inside it.
Right.
Same like the human unconscious. So it is as within, so without. It's a reflection of what's going on within us. So the emergence of the Nagas is to help us become aware of our unconscious, the unconscious mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
So once we're aware, we are closer to a higher frequency as we process each unconscious level of emotion that comes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we can start moving up through basically the different higher frequencies.
Yes, we can evolve faster, because what we don't know, we cannot change. So once we become aware of something that is affecting us unconsciously, then we can choose, like, do I still want to continue this, or do I want to like fix it or get rid of it? Yeah, so that's what awareness means. Like we can learn to deal with it, or also learn from why is this emotion being repressed, and what trauma is it associated to, and so forth. So really, I would say like the water dragons are like our spiritual counselors and spiritual psychologists.
Oh, so lovely.
Yeah, help us make sense of all these stuff we're going through.
Yeah. Okay. And then so Todd and Morgan, they're basically the creators, and they hold the space for Soulology. They lately have been going through a lot of dragon experiences as well. And what has been really happening for them is they keep having the most recent experience is they keep having twin dragons show up in different colors. So the first set of twins that showed up was white, and then it moved to silver, and the most recent pair is red. Do you have any information that can basically assist them with understanding why two dragons and why the different colors?
Okay, it's again definitely very synchronistic, because just yesterday I was working with, or rather, I encountered twin dragons.
Oh,
Yeah. So and thankfully, because of that, I can answer this question a little bit. It was about co-creation. Yeah, literally just yesterday. I kid you
wow.
not. So
Maybe they sent it. They're like, oh, we better go over Sherwin, make sure he's good.
yeah, I know. Updated. So personally for me, I don't work so much with twin dragons, but I feel for Todd and Morgan, probably there's a lot of like twin flame work happening, and also like co-creation, so bringing new blueprints into this world. So like, blueprints and making it solid and tangible for the human realm. So that's what I feel. It's like, twin dragons are like the DNA. So new blueprints for new DNA transformation, especially with what's going on today, with all that the virus, which I see it as, again, a precipitation of the human DNA and the whole bodily system to just evolve faster.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think in tandem with that, all the twin dragons is to bring in new encodings for the new human body.
Wow. So for Todd and Morgan, they actually their energy form is all about merging. They've gone through this like traumatic lifetime. I won't get into it, but they're at the point in their life now where they've they're starting to merge and become one energy. And what I find really interesting through my own personal downloads of Atlantis, there were 12 temples in Atlantis, one each representing a virtue. And
Yeah.
I think what had happened near the end, where every poop hit the fan, was there was an attempt of a 13th temple creating something new with energy that has not been attempted before, and then that was part of the destruction. So I'm wondering, and then the other thing that kind of ties in, and which you kind of worked on, is the 12, so the 12 unions or divine unions of couples. Have you worked with that as well? Does that tie back into Atlantis and the temples? And then right now, are we creating a blueprint? I'm thinking an attempt of Lemuria and Atlantis in a more solid print, like
Harmonious way.
Yeah, in a way that we don't go kaput again. Is that what all the twin flames are working on right now, you think? What do you feel about that?
I think a lot of the twin flames are, but maybe not all, because there are many other aspects of creation to take care of, that I'm sure I may not even be aware of. But yes, to a large extent, I feel a lot of that harmonization. So it's almost like every generation of light workers, we try again and again, but we do it a little bit better, a little bit more refined, learning from our past mistakes, so learning from Atlantis, what happened then, and trying not to go down the same path of fear, and just staying above all that fear, and then creating from a higher perspective. So yeah, so a lot of twin flame couples are bringing in those solid blueprints. I say new blueprints because it has been further refined, so that we have a better chance of evolving today and hopefully moving out of all that fear. Like in the world now today, there's also a lot of that fear and panic energy, which again is also, I think, reminiscent and triggered from that original trauma in Atlantis, the collapse and everything. So, and people fear of losing control, and so they go through all these different phases of acting out as part of purification as well. So it's always like that. The more light that is coming in, the more darkness we have to deal with at the same time as well. So yeah. So
it's
in
like
that case,
just chaos.
yeah. So there's a very famous saying, right? Divine order can often manifest as humanly chaos. Yeah. So I
Yes.
think that's exactly what's happening right now.
And what in the course, the other takeaway aha moment for me was when you were explaining that COVID-19 was actually is a DNA coding that was hidden in the
Icebergs.
Not icebergs, right?
Yeah.
So explain that, because I was like, wow, that's probably it's all synchronicity, but I loved it. So maybe you share that part too.
Yeah. So apparently, I actually learned this from science. It's not a download. in the icebergs, as they melt. So the icebergs, they contain millions of other viruses, like prehistoric viruses. So as they become, as some of the ice start to melt, so some of the viruses will be released into the world. I know, and that sounds catastrophic, but how I see it is that because I believe everything in our universe is divinely organized, and it has a certain innate intelligence. So anyway, as the viruses get released over the next hundreds or even thousands of years, of course, it will not be a comfortable process, but it will force the human body to evolve, to make that evolutionary leap to become stronger and stronger and stronger. So when we have worked through all the major viruses to come, I feel that is when we are actually ready to fully remember or fully re-experience what Atlantis was. Yeah.
So just to paraphrase, what you're saying is with embedded, encoded in the ice, which is what you were saying, Antarctica, right? So when, yeah, so in Antarctica are actually the codes that are carried in Atlantis and Lemuria. And as we raise our frequency and our physical vessel can actually take it, it will basically release one code at a time. So right now, our code is COVID-19.
Yeah, you can say
and
that.
Our body needs to go through a certain level of purification in order to integrate that code for basically the next experience.
Yes, yeah.
So
become stronger, and then
So so it's not a good thing for us to just melt all the icebergs at once. That would be catastrophic.
Catastrophic. Because we need time to adapt.
It's a slow process.
Yeah, we can't rush it.
Just melt it. Have the dragons burn it down. I'm tired of waiting. This COVID-19 is killing me slowly. So, and then that you would have basically unlocked all of the coding that was with Atlantis. Because to think about it, our physical vessels right now can't handle what the light beings, the original Atlanteans had. There's no way, right? If you can instantly manifest form, this pathetic meat suit won't be able to hold on.
Yeah, it will just explode or dissolve. Disintegrate. Exactly. So in order for us to be able to hold more energy and more a whole spectrum of frequencies, the human body has to evolve much more than being just this physical form. We have to integrate all the different energy fields and all the layers to become one. Then we can start talking about the different frequencies and manifesting from thought, telekinesis, or even levitation and so forth, which was a norm during Atlantean times. But because our frequency now has dipped so low, so we are just making our way back to the higher frequencies.
So do you have a prediction of how 2020 is going to land?
No, I don't have. At this point, it really depends on us, on each individual, how fast we learn from our own shadow, learn from our own fears, versus throwing out those fears into the world as panic and fear and just projecting. So the sooner we realize there's no point projecting our fears anymore and just bring it back and just sit with our own emotions and learn from them. That is the day when we are ready for the true age of Aquarius. Yeah, so I feel at the end of it is all about self accountability and not and just stopping and dissolving all the blame that is going out. Just stop blaming and start learning to be self accountable as human beings.
So will we see Atlantis rise, whatever that looks like, you think, in our lifetime?
At this point, really anything is possible. So we might get more science or more discovery on Atlantis in the coming years. So yeah, let's keep an eye. So there'll be science from Egypt as well, and then it will slowly lead back to Atlantis.
So when you leave, so you hold this, you've been leading students through sacred journeys in Egypt. What is it about? Are you looking for an something in Egypt that will unlock Atlantis, or are you just in Egypt because it feels good? You know what I mean? Or maybe both.
Egypt is mainly for initiation, so it helps with the personal transformation of the students. So initiation means like pushing our body and consciousness to expand beyond its comfort zone. So a lot of purification happens like before the journey and during the journey, and after that their life will start to change. Of course, change is seldom comfortable. So a lot of the students they do go through some like major changes, some not so major, but a lot of like emotional conflict going on to be resolved later on. Yeah, so it's mainly we go back to Egypt for the alchemy, which is the transformation and transmutation of the physical body and our consciousness. Yeah. Not directly related to Atlantis.
So when your students, how many students go with you on those sacred journeys?
Normally about 30.
30, and do you have one planned for 2020?
I do. So fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. It is supposed to be at the end of September, but so we're still holding our breath. Fingers crossed. And yeah. But one good thing, because of the restriction of travel and the restriction of tourism, so all the sacred sites across the world, you get to rest. Because especially like the pyramid, I think it has been taking on tourists after tourists every day for the last, I don't know how many years. So it's never rested before. So it's also very interesting to see after the energies have rested and given that time to reboot. And then later on, when we go back, I'm sure the energies will be very, very different. So that itself is something for us to look forward to.
Oh, I wonder if that was done on purpose, like all the divine energies was like, okay, all you yahoos, get on my secret sites. I have to reboot, reset without you paying attention to us.
Yeah, and many of the places, because of the rampant, just all the human energy, they go there and they dump their stuff into the place and no one clears it up in time. So a lot of the sacred sites energetically as well has been like kind of damaged. So they need time to heal and self-repair also. So it is a very, very unexpected good outcome of it. So like I said, everything in our universe has innate intelligence. So I believe this is part of the plan as well.
Wow, huh? I never got that one. Yeah, I can see how that would work. Okay, so was there anything else that you want to share with us before we wrap up, or any new intel or downloads, or shamelessly plugging? That's fine too.
Well, this last 2 months being in the in kind of semi-isolation has really allowed me to just sit and relax and download a lot of things, and yeah, I honestly I had a wonderful time just being in that sacred space, head space, continuously, and like right now in Kuala Lumpur, we are opening up again, so you can feel the busyness of the outer world and all the hecticness starting to stir up again. And because of that, a lot of the higher frequencies are shutting down. So I'm feeling a little bit sad, actually. Yeah, it was very clear.
There'll be a second wave in fall.
Yeah, that's what I feel as well.
It's a very short period, people. We have like a month, and then it'll be a second wave. So
yeah, so that's what the pattern looks like. So anyway, so I would just say that make use of this time to really just tune into our, at least our own emotions, our own inner guidance, tune into the guides, because I feel like when the outer world, all that escapism is just shut down for a while, the high frequencies become obvious, become very much accessible. So it is a very interesting time for light workers, especially to be alive right now. It's truly that time of transition.
Yeah, I totally would agree, because I find that even for myself, because like you had mentioned, the outer world is so quiet. Any information coming in, I don't judge it, and I don't I don't analyze it. I don't overthink it. I just accept it now. So anything coming in, it's a lot purer. It's a lot clearer. And I don't self-doubt, because it's quieter, right?
Yeah.
So the communication flow coming in and coming out seems to be a lot cleaner without that distortion. Yeah.
Cleaner is the word.
Cleaner, which is great. I mean,
exactly how I feel.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone that loves Sherwin's today's interview, you can find him on so many Facebook pages. So
Yeah.
Sherwin, list off all the places that people can connect with you.
So that also made me realize that I did too many stuff going on. So I'm now just narrowing it down to just
Yes.
one Facebook page.
Yeah.
So it's facebook.com/Sherwin says. Yeah. So
Sherwin
you can
says,
find me.
okay.
Yeah. So I will just focus my work there for now and not confuse people with it.
Because yes, so the other thing about Sherwin that's what I find quite unique is you have you actually have a space that you work out of, your own sacred space. You named it House of Kite. So, and it's also, you do the Horus mystery schools out of that as well. And Sherwin actually has a team. So there are other team members that do different levels of modalities, because I see there's someone that does yoga, there's someone that holds moon circles. There's someone that just takes pictures of you. I think Aaron's your paparazzi that goes around, makes you look good. So there's that aspect. So it's just not you. There's House of Kite actually encompasses more members on your team to reach out to different people as well. So that's really awesome. And you broke out of your shell and started doing online classes, which I'm so excited about, because in the past, he would make you travel to Malaysia to see him.
Or Egypt.
Or Egypt or Glastonbury, but it always involved travel. So as I'm out of Vancouver, Canada, so I was so excited that you were able to do online now. How did that feel? How did that transition feel for you?
It was, I always say that, when the right time comes, we will know. So obviously now is the right time, and it's just so fantastic to be able to connect with students from all over the world at the same time. So it's a different level of joy. At the same time, there is a different level of challenge as well, because it's a different way of holding the space, but I'm getting a hang of that. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love that. So if you're looking for a little bit more direction, and then I just want to speak a little bit about your book. So for anyone out there that has a calling about Atlantis and you want to go a little bit deeper, we're not talking about the stuff portrayed on Disney, okay? We're talking the deeper stuff. Go pick up the book. And I wasn't able to find it easily on Amazon, but you can connect with House of Kite. They can actually ship it to you. So there is one avenue. That book is almost I like to call it like coming home conversation. When I first opened the book and I read through it, it felt like all of my memories and personal downloads was articulately packaged, which was so helpful, because I didn't have to write it out myself. Like, I'm lazy like that. Someone else did the work for me. So for anyone that resonates with it, highly recommend the book for sure. And then all of our viewers, if this show resonates with you, as always, please share it forward. And you can do that with donating to basically Soulology PayPal link will always be dropped in the comments below, or just share it on your Facebook to keep us above the algorithms. Thank you so much. And what time is it there? I know you guys are ahead of us.
Yeah, 12 a.m.
Oh, okay. So
it's bright and shiny here.
Oh, it's shiny here. Now we're getting darker because it's supper time over here for us, and we're behind you. But thank you so much. It has been amazing talking to you, and I know we've been chasing this interview for, I think, a year. I've been harassing you.
In fact, I actually, Morgan messaged me 1 year ago, and I missed it. Oh my god.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, and I just saw it last month when she messaged me again to fix the appointment. I said, oh my god, I missed a message from you. It's 1 year ago. So it's like,
that's okay. We don't take anything personally here. So.
Yeah, I know, but still, like, I missed it, but I guess better late than never.
Yes, no, we would love to have you on the show again. So anytime you want to share information or just talk about anything, because you are such a gift in terms of knowledge, I would almost call you a solid anthropological researcher / practitioner, because you have that historical lineage of like basically documenting and pulling through a whole bunch of information in a very relatable way. So for me, it's rare to have that, because most of the people out there kind of don't take the time to document it, which I really appreciate you doing. That takes next level, right?
Well, it doesn't come like in a sequence. So it's like over the years, it's been like
Yes.
put together.
Yeah. And you were mentioning you were writing a second book or thinking?
Well, not anymore.
Oh. You're just
Yeah.
working on your push-ups? What's going on there?
So now just focusing on what I can offer to just I would say like to support the whole process of transition. So it's like that's why I'll be offering like the free moon circles, and then I have the book club and all that, just to help people navigate the coming months, so that the purification is a little bit smoother, a little bit easier. Of course, we can't totally remove the lessons for humanity, but I hope that at least we can help each other just go through and learn whatever lessons we need to learn, and make life slightly easier. Yeah.
Yes.
That's my focus
Ease and
now.
grace. Yes. Ease and grace. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
and have a good morning, I guess, the rest of your day.
Yes. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Okay, so Todd should stop the video. We can probably stop before Todd stops. So I'll sign off. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Or not, maybe not. All right, people. Let's see.
Bye-bye.
All right, Todd, turn us off.